This is very, very huge for the landscape of television. So, and this is from Awful Announcing. It's called ESPN to announce flagship name and price next week. ESPN will totally unveil their DTC service next week as the company experienced a mixed bag in earnings for Q1. Flagship, we hardly knew ye. Flagship is the handle ESPN has used for about a year now to refer to its developing and highly anticipated direct-to-consumer app, which will, for the first time, make all of ESPN's channels available for standalone sale. This is exciting. All of ESPN's channels. Now, I think that what this is going to mean is it's going to include ACC Network. It's going to include SEC Network. I think the Big 12 Network is owned by ESPN as well, which, to me as a college sports fan, is huge, because between ESPN and Fox, who also is making their own DCC package in the fall/winterish of this year, this is going to encompass the vast majority of college sports, other than broadcast television, of course. ESPN Plus, combined with ESPN3, covers a lot of ABC programming, and I don't know if the Fox DTC offering is going to include sports that air on Fox, but generally speaking, between Fox's DTC solution and ESPN's DTC solution, you'll get like 80% of college sports, which is very, very exciting. If you are a subscriber of linear ESPN, you will automatically get what I know we've been referring to as ESPN Flagship. Disney CEO Bob Iger said on an earnings call this morning. By the way, it will not be called that in next week. Jimmy Pitaro, ESPN president, plans to reveal not only the name, but he'll also talk about it, our pricing strategy. But the plan would be to basically be somewhat agnostic from a subscriber perspective, so that we can still do our best to preserve the multi-channel ecosystem. Disney's upfront is scheduled for May 13, so that is likely the platform for the announcement. So I'm guessing this will be like on Monday or Tuesday. Generally is when they like to do announcements like these, yeah. The soon not to be named flagship app is expected to cost between $25 and $30 a month, and is touted as boasting features like betting and fantasy integration not available on the linear consumer. I don't really care about those things. A lot of the fantasy stuff I do on Yahoo, which is not even that much. It's literally just March Madness every year. That price would place the new ESPN app in the higher range of sports app prices, though definitely not exorbitant. Iger did not mention a launch date, though it is widely expected sometime before the start of college football in NFL regular seasons. Yeah, it's not exorbitant at all. I think Sling TV, their streaming service, costs about like $60 or so a month, and if you exclude that, then all the other streaming services cost about $80 or $90 a month. So $25 to $30 a month, if all you care about is ESPN to have on in the background especially, is really good. Iger did not mention the launch date, though it is widely expected to be sometime before the start of the college football and NFL regular seasons. For years, ESPN has resisted the DTC offering for fear it would cannibalize the linear channels, and ESPN is seen as critical to holding the free and cable bundle together. This is actually not the big reason why they haven't done this. The big reason is why they haven't done this is because of cable agreements. They have cable agreements in place that say you cannot make a streaming version of this. You can only give this to like us cable providers, essentially. And so I think over the past few years, because every several years, you know, cable and agreements behind the scenes, they expire and have to be rewritten and things. And no one ever talks about, oh, ESPN signed a new deal with Cox to stay there for 5 more years. But I think over the past several years, ESPN has been working behind the scenes to put in things into the agreements so that now they can just do a streaming option online. I think actually like Newsmax came into issues with this because they have an agreement with like DirecTV or something saying put Newsmax TV on DirecTV, but they didn't know that that agreement, which is a standard agreement, says you cannot have your own streaming version of Newsmax TV, I think, to some extent. So for years, Newsmax TV had been free on YouTube, and they had to make Newsmax 2 as a free option to replace Newsmax TV because it would breach the agreement. So a typical agreement would say you can't make a streaming version of that, but I think this is sort of breaking down those barriers, which is huge for the future of watching cable channels on streaming. It says here, and ESPN is seen as critical to holding the free and cable bundle together. If consumers who just get cable for ESPN drop it now in favor of the app, that could be a death blow to linear. I think the problem is that I think if you have cable, you probably want more than ESPN. Now, Fox's solution is going to be a little bit more holistic, And I think it's going to be a little bit more competitive with cable, specifically because it's going to appeal to more people. Because inside of Fox's DTC solution, it's not just going to have the ESPN channels. It's going to have Fox News. I think it's going to have Fox Business and other Fox channels. It might even have FX for all I know. So that solution is going to target more people. Because if you want cable, you want sports and news and probably some entertainment as well, though now most people just stream their shows. So by just offering sports, I don't think that's enough. But I think what might happen is, if Disney has some sort of issue with the with a cable provider, oops, I guess ESPN isn't on the cable service anymore, and now you're gonna have people either paying for both cable and ESPN or picking between one or the other. And it could be a situation where eventually cable is just a place for all the channels that don't have a la carte apps yet. That literally might be the case. Says here, last year when Disney worked with Fox and Warner Brothers Discovery to get their sports streaming app off the ground, they all said that the app would not cannibalize pay TV, but internal research that emerged during litigation suggested a much stronger bleed for customers from pay TV to the app. The three partners dropped plans for the app in the face of litigation brought by Fubo TV. And the funny thing is, the other content that was going to be made on, like, what was it called, Venue Sports, it's all ending up being in their own apps. I think Max already has all the stuff that was going to be on Venue Sports from Warner Discovery now. Fox is making their own DTC solution, and Disney, of course, is releasing the new ESPN thing. What's it going to be? ESPN squared? It's not ESPN Plus. Therefore, one of the most highly watched developments of the next year to 18 months in media is if the ESPN launch accelerates the decline of the cable bundle. ESPN's existing streaming option, ESPN Plus, which shows live sports not available on ESPN's linear channels, saw an 800,000 subscriber loss from 24.1 million in the quarter ended March 29, 2025. ESPN revenue for the quarter rose 8% from 4.5 billion according to Disney, but operating income fell 16% to $669 million. The decrease in domestic ESPN operating results in the current quarter compared to the prior year quarter reflected higher programming and production costs, primarily attributed to airing 3 additional college football playoff games, makes sense, as well as 1 additional NFL game due to timing, the company wrote in its quarterly report. Disney shares were up 10% in early morning trading as the company also reported an unexpected rise in Disney Plus subscribers. Disney reported a 1.4 million increase to 126 million for Disney Plus, the inverse of Wall Street's expected decline in subs. So an interesting article. I'm really fascinated to see how the flagship thing works. I think that it's going to be great for ESPN and great for Disney. I think especially if there are folks who like sports but don't care about all the sports all the time, but want to be able to watch some sports all the time, they're going to maybe have ESPN Flagship as a backstop. So let's say they need to get rid of cable for a little bit. At least they'll always have ESPN to have on in the background. That's going to be very cool. I will say that there are free options for people who just like having sports on in the background. ESPN 3 does have some sports on in the background, although their content has been diminishing over time. It's been moving over to ESPN Plus. But also there's CBS Sports HQ, which I really like because it's basically like, remember like what SportsCenter used to be? It's literally that, but just 24/7. All these highlights, all the score updates for all the games, all the time on a 24/7 linear solution. Really cool. I like throwing it up on my TV and having it on mute in the background. So, but still not a lot of people are thinking about that. They're looking at the worldwide leader in sports, ESPN. So I'm really interested to see not just what happens with ESPN, because if ESPN's by themselves, okay, fine. But we've got ESPN, Warner Brothers Discovery, and now we have Fox all going to direct to consumer in a single year, which is going to cover the vast majority, especially college sports, which is what I care about. I'm really excited to see how this shakes up the streaming and television world and normalizes making content available to stream online without being bundled in unassociated things. Like, bro, I don't care about the Lifetime channel. Don't give me the Lifetime channel if all I want is sports and news, okay? That's all I ask. And it looks like I'm getting what I'm asking for.